Maggots in the grain silo. You can never truly leave a haunting behind. It lingers, festering within you, like a persistent parasite feeding off your fear. My family never understood that. They laughed when I told them about the whispers in the grain silos, scorned me for my insatiable obsession. They called me insane, delusional, insisting I was chasing ghosts instead of a career. When I exposed the fungal infestations that had crept across our rural town, they turned their backs, shunning me as a disgrace to our family. Little did they know, the shadows I chased would eventually catch up to them. Returning home was surreal. The familiar, once comforting sights now felt alien, twisted by the lens of my experiences. I had become someone different, no longer the naive inspector they had ridiculed, but a man marked by knowledge and fear. My name now whispered across agricultural boards with trepidation, associated with hidden horrors and a relentless pursuit of truth buried beneath layers of soil and silence. I stood in front of our old farmhouse, memories flooding me with each creak of the wooden steps. The front porch sagged slightly, just like my family's faith in me had years ago. As I stepped inside, the air felt heavy with an unfulfilled promise. I had come to warn them. To show them the truth they had dismissed, I needed them to understand that what they had mocked was now a reality they would face, one way or another. At the dinner table, they gathered, my mother, father, and siblings, eyes filled with a mixture of surprise and disdain. My mother, her fingers trembling, attempted to prepare a welcoming meal, but the aroma felt off. Even the food seemed to hold a grudge. I had to disguise the pit of unease that churned within me. "Well, if it isn't the ghost hunter," my brother scoffed, a sarcastic grin plastered across his face. The laughter that erupted from them screamed of the years of mockery, and for a brief moment I felt the urge to flee. Instead, I leaned into the silence that followed their jeers. "I've come to warn you," I said, my voice shaking slightly. "The silos, the harvest, there's something beneath it all that you don't understand." It felt absurd to explain, but I pushed through. I recounted the discoveries I had made, the ghastly spores, the eyes I'd felt watching me under the pale moonlight, the chilling whispers that echoed through abandoned barns like a forgotten nursery rhyme. "Haunted grain silos? Really? You're grasping at straws," my father barked, the derision palpable. "You've lost your mind, son. Come home and get your head straight." But that night, something shifted. I knew they laughed. They thought of my stories as fables meant for children, not serious concerns to be taken to heart. I set my phone on the table, displaying the photo I had taken at my latest investigation. A spectral mist curling towards the grain, something lurking just beneath the surface. "Look," I pressed, desperation bleeding into my voice. "You think it's all nonsense, but take a closer look." I could feel the tension tighten, each gaze narrowing as they tried to dismiss what I had endured. Yet the light flickered, the air grew thick, and then the scream shattered the moment. A sound that felt like the very air in the room had been ripped apart. A mound of rotting grain erupted from the bag we had just set on the table. It spilled forth, writhing and churning like something alive. Maggots squirmed, fat and glistening, weaving through the air like a grotesque ballet. My family recoiled, terror pooling in their widened eyes. "What is that?" "They're here," I whispered, stepping back. "I warned you." The floorboards creaked and shadows danced against the walls, seemingly emerging from the very grain that had spilled onto the table. A chorus of murmurs filled the room, the echoes of the cursed harvest we'd ignored. They laughed when I tried to speak the truth, and now they were trapped in its grip, forced to witness what they once deemed absurd. The walls of our home began to pulse, as if breathing, embodying all the skepticism and horror I had faced. The air turned frigid, and an oppressive weight fell over us, as if the spirits of the silos had converged upon us, a sickly reminder of the failed crops I had fought against. My family writhed in disbelief, their faces twisting in a horror they had never thought possible. The echoes of laughter morphed into gasps of dread as my brother stumbled backward, his chair falling, and the others scrambling around the table lost their footing amidst the chaos. And just like that, the laughter faded, replaced by the chilling reality of my truth. They were drowning in the very absurdity they once ridiculed, the weight of disbelief pressing down upon them. I felt the sting of vindication, but also the underlying current of loss. They were my family, and this was no longer a victory I cherished. Finally, as the room grew quiet, save for the pitiful squirming of the maggots, I knew I must leave. I had warned them. Now it was their burden to bear. As I stepped out into the night,